Let's go, guys. Hit that like button as a filter in, please, and thank you. It's a normal day in American politics. Talk about the President of the United States calling for the public execution, I guess.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated.
All right, what's up, guys? What do you say we dive right into it? What's happening? I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. I really do appreciate you being here. I appreciate your time. It's Thursday, November 20th, 2025. And thank you to everybody in the chat, especially the mods and everybody that's here, from the start, has been here from the start, I should say. I really do appreciate you taking the time out, supporting the show. Lots that we got to talk about. Just your average day as a political commentator in the fucking United States of America, having to come on and talk on your live stream, on your podcast, about the president of the United States reposting and posting himself about the deaths of Democratic politicians. But we got a lot more to discuss, even above and beyond that, if you can believe it. But I really do appreciate it. But like I said, we'll be talking about Trump calling for the legit murder of Democratic politicians over the new video. We'll take a look at the video that's in dispute. We'll be talking about Israeli airstrikes killing at least 25, if not more, in Gaza. We'll be talking about the new fear that everybody has relating to the Epstein file release, which is, that Pam Bondi has now snuck in this little fucking tidbit that gives her pretty much control over what can be redacted and what can be withheld. So we'll be discussing that. We'll also be exposing Steve Bannon and his connection to, Jeffrey Epstein, and asking the question, why hasn't MAGA kicked Steve Bannon out yet? I thought they were the party that protected children. Weren't they the party against child sex traffickers and wanting to have the Epstein files released and wanting to get anybody associated with this? Well, we may not have that smoking gun in particular that we were looking for to point exactly towards the crimes that Donald Trump may have committed in his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, but we certainly do have enough from these emails to point to a long-lasting and very detailed and specified relationship between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein, giving him PR advice, coaching, traveling with him all over the world to different events. So we'll be talking about that as well. We'll be asking the question. This is the good question of the day, the main question of the day. Did Melania Trump schlup Jeffrey Epstein? And is that the compromise that Jeffrey Epstein may have went to Vladimir Putin with, to kind of hold over Donald Trump's head? So we'll be taking a look at, that little theory. I think the I've Had It podcast ladies have their theory on that. Plus, we'll be taking a look at a few more little details that may corroborate that theory. Obviously, we'll be taking a look at more on the fighting in Pokrovsk and diving into more of the MAGA Civil War. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for filtering in. Hit that like button as you do. Again, I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. What do you say we dive right into it? Let's get right into the video that's causing this stir, right? And then we'll get into Donald Trump's comments on Truth Social, the stuff that he's reposting on Truth Social, the freak out on Fox News, and then what the actual law says. So we can kind of go from A to B. We'll go full circle on this. Let me put this up on the screen for you guys because, yes, this is the video that everybody's kind of bitching and complaining about on the right, calling it an insurrection, calling it a coup. Right? Let me put this on the stage. People like Alyssa Slotkin and the coup that they're trying to perpetrate. Again, just kind of reiterating the long-lasting notion, the long-standing notion that everybody knows about, that, people in the military do not have to uphold or follow unlawful orders, right? Simple statement, simple reminder to the people in the military. Again, the not calling out anything in particular, anything specific, but just kind of reminding them of their duties to the Constitution and not to the President of the United States. So let me throw this on the screen. Again, it's 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I don't know if this is the full video or whatnot, but this is the clip that I found here. But this will give you a good idea, a good gist of what they're talking about, what they're saying in here, and then we can take a look at what Donald Trump's posting on his Truth Social in response to this. So check this out. This is crazy. Where the hell am I now? Am I not on the screen? Okay, there I am. Okay, there I am. All right. Let me throw this up there. Full screen. Let's play this again. Alyssa Slotkin and people like her talking about the oath that the military members have and how it's to the Constitution and not to people like Donald Trump and how they're not required to follow unlawful orders. Here we go.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad.
But from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
The Army.
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Right. So again, as we've been saying, we've been calling out for a long time. Hey, where the hell are the generals? Where the hell are the people in the military that know better? Right. This is just a reminder, not only from politicians, not only from Democratic politicians, but also people that either served in the military themselves or in the intelligence community themselves that actually have, a stake in the matter, that have a say in this, that sacrifice themselves in one way or another to put their lives on the line for the Constitution and know what that means, know what that's supposed to be about. And again, this has caused the biggest uproar ever. And now this is the insurrection. What you just witnessed was an apparent insurrection, an apparent coup, just reminding people of their lawful duties to not uphold unlawful orders. And, before, I guess we should probably, let's just dive right into the law in it, and then we can get into the reaction. That way we head into the bullshit from, people like Donald Trump and Republicans with the knowledge. So this is just something that I found online, Law Office of Peter Calgary Jr. This is Article 92. Let me see if I can get into this. So Article 92 and illegal order, because it's a legal order, It says, can service members refuse an illegal order? Okay, lessons from the LA Guard ruling for Article 92. So this is, this was put out basically when the National Guard troops were thought to have been being sent into LA and, the unlawful nature of that status. So, but it applies to this whole thing. So basically, under Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, Article 92, service members must obey lawful orders. Failure to obey lawful orders can lead to serious punishment, including court-martial. But just underneath it, and here, let me make it a little bigger on the screen. How's that? A little better so you can see it? All right. So let me go to the but right there, which you can see. Yeah, let me get that key text out of the way so you can see there. But there is a key qualifier. The order must be lawful. If an order is manifestly illegal, service members not only may refuse it, they have a duty to do so. Obeying an illegal order can expose a service member to criminal liability. So plain and clear, right there, UCMJ, the Court of Military Justice, Article 92, right there, as by this lawyer put online, and it goes on to talk about the LA deployment example, but we need not go into that specific example because this tells us everything that we need to know. So taking that information, that is just, I'm sure a lot of people already understood that, people especially in the chat that have served themselves. Not only a big thank you to you, but obviously, what this means to our country, and what it means to not have to obey an unlawful order. But to people that may be on the periphery of this, that may not be as involved, that may not know the ins and outs of this, here we are looking at it right plain and clear on your screen, black and white in writing, that not only do, is there should they refuse it, but they have a duty to refuse anything that is manifestly illegal, as said right here in Article 92. So taking that knowledge, taking what we know about that, let's dive into Donald Trump's Truth Social and his recent post that he has on there. And again, I'm going to blow this up on the screen just so it's a little bigger, a little bit easier for you guys to see. And again, let's go down to just a few of these reposts before we get into what he's posting himself. So as you can see here, this is what Donald Trump is retruthing. right? So there it says Donald J. Trump, retruth there. So get these people out of office. They aren't doing their jobs. They are looking for ways to be rebels and take others with them. They need to go, okay? He's also retruthing this one. Insurrection, treason, sedition. Indict them all. Unlawful is the key word, folks. Unlawful. And this is the one that everybody, especially myself, have been pointing out, where P-78, what looks to be the German military cross here, as his profile picture, says hang them. George Washington Wood. And this was retruthed by the President of the United States of America, right? He goes on calling them traitors. Another retruth here, a long one talking about Democrats and the oath. Democrats are getting closer and closer to being on their way out. If they don't follow orders, they should be fired. It goes on and on and on and on. Domestic terrorists, Democrats always causing chaos and destruction, destroying people's lives. But, you'd be like, okay, well, that's just him kind of reposting other people's comments, right? Well, no, because then he goes on here to say this is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up, 3 question marks. Signed President DJT. And then just 3 hours ago, he says this. Seditious behavior punishable by death, says the President of the United States. Again, talking about, these politicians who have served their country, unlike Donald Trump ever did, unlike anybody in Donald Trump's family ever did, putting out a video just as a reminder to the people serving in the military right now of the oath that they took to the Constitution, and what that states, what the military code of justice states that they have a duty to do. And again, the President of the United States doesn't like that. He doesn't like that the military is being reminded of their oath, of their duty, of the people that they're supposed to be representing, supporting, and protecting, and not just the office or the person sitting in the office of the President of the United States. So, office of the presidency, I should say. But again, it's not just him. This is fucking far and away, nutsos now anyway. But this is the time that we live in. Again, as a political commentator in the United States right now, this is something that we wake up to almost on a daily basis, right? Something may not to this specific or this, along the lines of this, but very much so, things that are very dangerous, outlandish, corrupt, insane. It's just day after day, multiple times a day. And this is just the newest one where, again, he's putting it in writing. The president put it in writing that he's now actively calling for basically the murder, the hanging here, as it says here, George Washington would hang him, and retruth by Donald Trump himself of Democratic politicians, right? And again, we don't even need to specify the fact that they're Democrats. We could just say politicians in this country, and it should be enough for people to be outraged in and of itself. But it goes on because Fox News was having their little heart attack, was throwing their little tiffy. This is just a little highlight of all of their different shows, and this is just Sean Hannity that I'm going to play first, and then he brings up a clip of Stephen Miller, who again goes on to call this an insurrection, a coup, calling it illegal. We'll see what action they try to take towards these politicians now, but you can see how pissed off they are that even the attempt, even the notion that people would remind, again, people serving in our military that took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and not to serve the president's free will, that they're being reminded of that. That's what they're pissed off about. I just want to, keep reminding you that, the president, the person that's supposed to be heading and leading this country, the commander-in-chief of the military is now pissed off that people are being reminded of their oath. That's what this boils down to. But here's Sean Hannity's take on the situation. Listen to this bullshit.
I'll say there, and by the way, he was rude, vile, interruptive, and he wasn't telling the truth. The language they used that we just played for you, there was no ambiguity in that language.
And what he's talking about is A, the video that we played already of what they were talking about, and B, I believe Crow went on with Martha McCullen or whatever her name was, and he's referencing that interview that they had.
What they were asking the intel community to do and our military to do. In case you're looking for more clarity, well, let's go to Stephen Miller.
They were just asking them to remind themselves of the oath that they took, the duties that they have, nothing more, nothing less. basically to make the determination of yourself whether or not the orders that you're getting and they're being sent down by the president of the United States are borderline illegal, or very much determined to be illegal. It's pretty much that's the whole thing. That's all it is. Just think for yourselves. That way you're not held liable, as said per this, right? Because this one actually just said that they could be held liable, right? Because they could be held, can expose a service member to criminal liability. Right, so they have a reason themselves to want to question these orders. They want to make sure themselves that they don't violate any oaths or constitutions or international law, anything like that, posse comitatus, and you know what I mean. Like you have to think about that, because not only are you putting yourself in the way of criminal liability, but also in public backlash and those sort of things. So let's go on and hear what this idiot has to say about it, and then you'll hear how crazy Stephen Miller gets.
The video put out by Crow and the other 5 lawmakers is not just incredibly brazen, it also is deeply illegal. Listen to what he says.
So now they're trying to call it illegal. The video itself, they're trying to say that the video, these people getting together making this video, it's illegal. So now you can almost be guaranteed to see, the next Truth Social post by Donald Trump will be demanding Pam Bondi, even though it was probably meant to be like a private message, a DM. You'll probably put it on Truth Social, demanding that Pam Bondi prosecute these politicians. That's just the inevitable next step in Donald Trump's fucking wheel. That's just what happens. He finds somebody that he doesn't like or goes against the dear Fuhrer, then he instructs Pam Bondi to prosecute them. It's, basically the weaponization that they were talking about, that they were complaining about under Joe Biden, that they themselves knew that they were going to be guilty of. So basically they just figured they'd point to the other side, blame them, and that way when it came time of them doing the same crime, they could just, kind of look the other way or, say this whataboutism bullshit. But here we go.
It is insurrection, plainly, directly, without question. And when you have one of the lawmakers on that video being unable to state in, as you say, lengthy cross-examination, a single so-called illegal order, it just proves the point. It's a general...
Well, no, it doesn't prove the point at all whatsoever, because it doesn't change the code of, it doesn't change the military code. It doesn't change the oath that they took. It doesn't change anything. Basically, again, it's a reminder. It's just basically saying, hey, just so we're clear here, we don't think that this person that's leading you right now has your best intentions, has the country's best intentions, and may possibly be leading you down a road of illegalities and liability criminally yourself. So what you want to do is pay attention to the orders that you're getting and make sure that you're not following unlawful orders. It's just a simple reminder, right? By people that served in the military themselves, unlike Stephen Miller, that people that served in the intelligence agencies themselves, unlike this asshole, right? So now Stephen Miller calling this an insurrection. You can see what the, we can feel what the inevitable next step is, which is prosecution, or threatened prosecution, at least here by Pam Bondi and others, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino.
Call for rebellion.
And now that I think about it, Dan Bongino's been awful quiet lately on this whole Epstein thing. Where's he been? Hashtag where's Bongino? What the fuck's going on with that? Because I've seen Kash Patel out there, right? I've seen fucking Pam Bondi out there. I've seen Donald Trump and these schmucks out there. Not so much Dan Bongino, now that I'm recalling, now that I'm going back and thinking about it. Who, again, to be reminded, was the person that had the issue, didn't want to show up to work, and was kind of having that feud with Pam Bondi over this whole thing. So has that kind of kicked back up? Is that another, just another piece of the pie, another piece of the puzzle in the MAGA battle? I don't know. But, just now that I think about it, now that I recall, I haven't seen Bongino too much. I haven't seen him. Anybody else? Because you guys do a lot of digging. I know Alyosha is all the way around the internet looking for stuff. What do you guys? Tanya, Tiff, anybody? Let me know. Let me know if you've seen him popping out of the closet anywhere.
From the CIA and the armed services of the United States by Democrat lawmakers, saying that you have not only the right, but the duty and the obligation to defy orders of the...
No. Again, listen to do you hear what he's saying? He's like literally mocking basically the literal language of it. He's saying that you have the duty. Yes, it says right there, not only may they refuse it, but they have the duty to do so. Obeying an illegal order can expose a service member to criminal liability. It says right there. And Stephen Miller literally repeating that same language and mocking it. Like what are these guys talking about? Oh, hold on. Let me put this back on the screen. My apologies.
saying that you have not only the right, but the duty and the obligation.
Yes, that's quite literally what it says, you fucking meatbag. You absolute tit. All these fucking people. It cracks me up. Just the utter shamelessness in which they fucking find themselves in front of camp. Like, it's just, they don't care how wrong they are. It's just as long as they sound confident, right? As long as they can come across as being some way, in some form, like acting competent, then you know, that's enough of them to get by on Fox News.
To defy orders of the commander-in-chief.
Yes, unlawful ones. Unlawful ones.
You must refuse the illegal orders, but we don't know which ones we're talking about. Now, the question tonight, could these...
Well, I guess what, you know, when they wrote the fucking Code of Military Justice, I don't think they had like a billion examples and a billion things in mind. They were just pretty much saying that, you know, you don't have to follow an illegal order, right? So does that make the writings of the Code of Military Justice like stupid as well? Oh, Jesus Christ. That couldn't even point to a single fucking thing. It didn't say anything specific. It just said don't do anything illegal or by an illegal order. We can't take that, you know, for what it's worth. It's just, they have absolutely no shame. Again, people that didn't serve, people that know nothing about serving, people that know nothing about the sacrifice, nothing about the oath. And it's just, you know, utterly shamelessly coming on here to you know, talk about how this is illegal. And it's fucking, it's unreal. Does he go on? I don't know. Is there anything worth listening to here?
Congress, can they be charged with a crime? Let's take a look at this. 18 U.S. Code 2383, quote, whoever incites...
Okay, so now he's got up on screen. It's something that says rebellion or insurrection, and then it's 18 U.S. Code 2383, which, quote, says, whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the laws thereof, or gives aid or comfort thereto, I'm sure it goes on
foot, assist the United States, or under this
shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years, yada, 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 which is good because it's funny that he puts this one on screen, considering it absolutely does not go against the authority of the United States or the laws thereof. It quite literally just kind of reminded them of the authority of the United States and the laws thereof. You know what I mean? So he's basically putting on screen the fact that they didn't commit a rebellion or insurrection. That's literally what he's proving to his audience. Not that they're smart enough to know that, but that's what he's doing right now.
The laws thereof, or gives aid and comfort thereto, shall be fined under tonight's nation among members of the military and in our intel community.
All right. So basically what I'm saying, he's calling for some prosecution. He's basically calling for Pam Bondi to step in and do something about this and charge this as a coup. Just as I believe it was reported that what's his name? James Comey's case there is about to be thrown out, or they're at least asking for it to be thrown out because these people are so incompetent. They can't even weaponize the government. They can't even weaponize the Justice Department correctly. They're a bunch of incompetent morons. But all right, let's move on. Next story, because we're limited on time. I'm going to dive into this one, and then again, we'll go on to talking about the new fear as it pertains to the release of the Epstein files or the withholding or redacting thereof. And then we'll be talking about did Melania schlep Jeffrey Epstein? And is that the compromise holding over Donald Trump's head by Vladimir Putin? Does he have the pictures to prove it? Does he have? I'm not sure, but we do remember the couple times in which Russian propaganda did put on screen, did play, and did, post the nude photos of Melania Trump. So we'll be kind of recalling those moments as well as we take a look at the I've Had It podcast ladies and their theory on this. So stick with us, ladies and gentlemen. Please hit that like button. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Right now, obviously, a little sadder story that we're going to dive into, something that, we've been covering here for a long time coming on Blunt Politics. But, this ridiculous and nonsensical ceasefire that everybody still continues to this day to call a ceasefire. And, I've lost count how many times we've now reported on strikes and deaths and, complete disregard for that ceasefire. being reported all around. And this is just the latest case where at least 25 Palestinians killed in Israeli strikes across Gaza, despite ceasefire. I mean, it's just ridiculous again that people even remotely put that in the title or the headline. It's stupid, and it's ignorant, and it's insulting to my intelligence to even call it at this point a ceasefire. But let's dive into just a few minutes of this to kind of catch up on the details of what happened, and then we'll move on to our next story. But again, just to make sure that everybody's staying up to date on the non-existent, not real ceasefire or peace in the Middle East that people continue to give Donald Trump credit for, we are forced to bring you news like this. So please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing. That is, make that determination. You can hit that like button and subscribe later if you want. Both of those things are free. We also have a Venmo up in the corner of the screen here, where if you just take a picture with your phone, takes you right to the Venmo. Send a buck or two. That's all I ask for. Nothing more than that. Anything beyond that is totally 100% on you. You can sign up just below me for a YouTube membership, or you can head over to patreon.com/BostonBrian and sign up there. We have our VIP Zoom tonight. Hey, I might as well put that on the screen. I think I have a little... Yeah, we'll put that up. So we get the VIP Zoom tonight, November 20th at 8 p.m. So look out for that link on Patreon. And again, anybody signed up before that link goes out will get access to join us for the Zoom party, for the Zoom chat. Again, just a little bit better way to get acquainted with the other people in the chat, put a face to the screen name, and it goes a long way to help the channel. So I appreciate it. It's patreon.com/BostonBrian, Venmo, membership underneath me, all those great things, self-promotional bullshit out of the way. Let's dive into it.
Breaking news coming out of Gaza, where at least 25 people, including children, have been killed in a series of Israeli airstrikes. Now, attacks were reported at several locations in central and southern areas of the Strip. Dozens of people have been injured. Israel says it launched the strikes after its troops were fired on in Khan Yunis in the south, and it's the latest threat to a ceasefire that's been under constant pressure since coming into...
How are we calling this a threat to the ceasefire? Like, why is this not a clear indication that there is no ceasefire? That, either side is clearly willing to still open fire, to launch attacks at will, which again clearly states there is no ceasefire. A ceasefire means cease firing. You stop fucking firing. I mean, how can we talk about this as like an indication that this may be going against? Like, of course it is. It's your firing goes against the ceasefire. There is no ceasefire if you're willing to lob missiles and attack people at will. That's just not what a fucking ceasefire is. That's not what it is. Purely plain and simple. That's it. It's stupid, and again, it's insulting to my intelligence to even continue to refer to it as such.
Effect on October 10th. Right, well, we do have two correspondents following the latest developments. We have Noor Auda, who's standing by for us in Ramallah. But first, let's go to Hani Mahmoud, who's live for us in Gaza City. Hani, more attacks by Israel, more deaths. That's despite...
And remember, these attacks are going to have even more devastating effect considering how many people have been let back into the area, right? They allowed the Palestinians back into the area, or at least a percentage of the Palestinians back into the area, which is now, making these attacks even more deadly, which is, bringing us back to the times when this thing was when the people were still in the area, right? That's what these death toll was saying, these 25 Palestinians killed in these attacks, right? So it's again, it's insulting to everybody's intelligence to refer to this as a ceasefire. That's not what it is. It hasn't been. It was even reported in the very beginning of this, like for the umpteenth time in this fucking deal. We're reporting now on murders and deaths and attacks here from one side or the other in regards to this, again, non-existent ceasefire.
We're saying a ceasefire is still in place.
And Sarah, we are still hearing the sounds of Israeli military vehicles, the armored vehicle, the tanks, the sound of them moving over on the eastern side of Gaza City. It's pretty clear from this area. Also, we can hear the sounds of a drone buzzing above the area. The skies above Gaza over the past hour or so were filled with many of these sky predators. But over the past 2 hours, the Israeli military carried out waves of attacks targeting 3 specific sites here at Shujaiya Junction, an area that has been filled with many of the displaced families who are originally from Shujaiya neighborhood. They're trying to get as
that has been filled with primarily the families of displaced people, right? Of course. But again, just to kind of give you evidence, just to kind of get it on record, just to kind of continually make sure that this is, being talked about as far as, again, people applauding, not only Donald Trump, but, people in his cabinet, people in his fucking administration for, quote unquote, peace in the Middle East, or again, even this non-existent ceasefire. You have, clear evidence to combat that bullshit, to combat that propaganda with, it's again, I don't want to, beat it to death, but it's just, again, it's incredibly insulting to the people's intelligence, not only ours, not only yours, but people around the world who, again, are witnessing what's going on firsthand with their own eyes, whether it be social media, Telegram, seeing the videos that you're seeing just quickly on your screen here. People, those are longer videos with much more detail, much more graphic, and those are being posted, and those are being seen by people all over the world. That, again, now they hear ceasefire being reported by the mainstream media, and then this is what they're seeing on their phones. And again, the one thing doesn't match the other, and obviously people are rightly asking questions now. So again, but this leads us to our next story that I want to talk about, which is this new fear that people have kind of brought up in, now that we're getting ready to see the Epstein files, that it passed the House, it passed the Senate, Donald Trump signed it, kind of people are taking a step back and being like, okay, like, what's the catch here? What's going on? And people are kind of pointing to this, amendment, or this little position that's attached to this, saying that Pam Bondi, and we talked about this yesterday, we played Pam Bondi played Pam Bondi yesterday talking about it as well. And not only that, but Mike Johnson, and you remember when we were talking about him talking about security, national security threats as it pertains to this. So that's what people are kind of bringing up. That's what people are kind of now fearful of, that they may use this or abuse this, I should say, and in some way, kind of overly withhold or redact information that, again, may be found to hurt in any way the Republicans or Donald Trump in particular, and while leaving out people like others that they've been talking about, other individual, Larry Summers, yada yada yada, those type of people. But this is a breaking points clip, and again, just a couple minutes of this to kind of get through the just to kind of wrap up and talk about the fears of that people are now been starting to talk about in terms of the Epstein file release, just as we're starting to kind of be on the verge of seeing them. So what do you say we dive into just a couple minutes of this? Let me put this on your screen, share this tab, put it on there. I appreciate you guys. Again, hit that like button, as I always ask you to do. And then if you like what you see and if you like what you're hearing, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Again, taking a look at this quick breaking points clip here, talking about the plot to cover up Epstein files after vote. And let's just see what they have to say.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Crystal?
Indeed, we do. So a new plot to hide the Epstein files is coming into view. Dems and Republicans, also after voting to release the Epstein files, which was good, come together in an absolutely disgusting, grotesque, corrupt deal. So we'll break those details down for you. Meanwhile, DC Republicans and Trump himself working overtime to try to block any sort of AI regulation at the state level. We got to talk.
Fast forward to where they start talking about this. My apologies. They're just kind of going over the new the news stories. Why do I keep coming off the fucking screen? I don't understand it. What is happening? Absolutely no sense. All right, stay, stop, don't move, nothing move. Why is stuff changing? I don't understand. All right, let's dive into it.
Law text itself is really important. It now says that the Attorney General has 30 days to make available unclassified documents related to the disgraced financier and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell. The difficult part is, what did I just say? Unclassified. And already the Attorney General is laying the groundwork for some significant
And again,
redaction.
just in case people are unfamiliar with the show, Sagar is the right-wing figure. He's the conservative, the Republican figure of the show. So even he's now kind of calling out this fear that people, even on the right, are having, where they're thinking Pam Bondi's going to kind of overstep her bounds here, right, and kind of withhold and redact anything that she kind of deems, either too close to an investigation. Like we talked about yesterday, we actually read the actual writing attached to the bill that gave her this power. So again, this is just more of the fears of that coming up
in the eventual release some 1 month from now. Here's what the Attorney General Pam Bondi had to say.
Does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
So again, when she's talking about following the law, this is specifically what she's referencing. That's the law that now gives her the ability to kind of redact or withhold anything she deems, again, too close to any investigations. And people are now talking about what, the investigations that she's got ongoing and how she can kind of use those to her advantage and, either not allowing or, again, disallowing this information to come out or redacting the information again. So again, this is what kind of just the gist of the fears that people have now.
So clearly, she didn't say no, because the question very specifically, does the new investigation prevent the DOJ from releasing all of those files? Now, this is in combination with Ken Klippenstein. He's got a new report. Let's go and put that up here on the screen. The Epstein bill passes as top officials circulate plans to block transparency. And so what he has been able to reveal is that if you actually read the text of the law, there is a national security concern carve-out that is inside. HR 4405 requires the attorney.
And remember, we were talking about, like, why the hell would Mike Johnson be referring to national security threats? We brought up, maybe, was it, Jeffrey Epstein was potentially working with the United States government? Did the U.S. government have, like, prior knowledge to this? And that, what is this? We're kind of confused as to why he would be bringing up national security problems. And, maybe it's just another one of these pawns, another one of these plays that they're going to use to kind of withhold what they deem as, like, information that could be hurtful or harmful to their party, right? Just mark it as, a national security risk, and that'll kind of give us the ability to, to shelve that file or shelve that sentence or shelve that fucking name or whatever it may be.
To complete the release of the information, including to declassify classified information to the maximum extent possible. This raises two concerns. First, it may not be feasible to properly undertake an extensive review in such a short period of time. Second, ignores the principle.
So basically, they're saying here, the law states that the DOJ is now required to release these files within 30 days, right? So they're now kind of saying that, well, now it may take a little bit longer if they have to go through these again and kind of go through it for, quote unquote, national security risk, and figure out what now they need to redact, what now they need to withhold, right? It may give them the excuse to say, oh, this is going to take a lot longer than 30 days now. Again, nothing that's been, said up until this point that I've heard, but just something that, kind of people are looking out for kind of off-ramps, offshoots that this administration may be taking in order to, again, extend or prolong this event even further.
To rest with the agency. So this is exactly the national security argument that he warned about, which would be used to block the disclosure from the DOJ and from the FBI with their hundreds of 100,000 files or so that are inside. Very good flag from him. What it does represent, though, is that just like with JFK or with, UFOs, with anything, just because they put something out doesn't make it true. Just because they put something out doesn't actually mean that it's usually not indicative of even further of a cover-up.
So again, even Saga here, the Republican right-wing conservative on the show, is not fully trustworthy, doesn't believe, doesn't trust that he's going to get the real information, even if and when Pam Bondi does release whatever they release coming forth. Like he still doesn't trust Pam Bondi. He still doesn't trust Donald Trump to do the right thing in this situation. And again, this is the right-wing figure, the more conservative figure on this show.
Is the flag where we are. I do want to take a moment to celebrate Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna. I mean, I said that I'm a cynical guy. I don't usually expect anything to really happen here, and I thought it was dead the moment that Trump and all of them started to come after it, and they just kept fighting. 427-1 in the House of Representatives. Never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Brute forced it through the Senate, even though Mike Johnson and Trump said that the Senate wanted to change it. No senator wanted to be on the record saying that, no, we're not going to vote against it. And Donald Trump, cowed in the dead of night, forced to sign this piece of legislation, which he fought tooth and nail for over 2 months to try to defeat. So things are still possible in this town, folks. I mean, it's amazing to see.
Yeah. Again, don't count your chickens just yet, all right? Don't go down fucking skiing down the double black diamond before your boots are latched up there to your skis there, Chief, because, again, we have not seen anything yet. It's been signed. It's been passed through the House, been passed through the Senate, signed by Donald Trump. But until those files are released to the public and until we see what is in those files or what, and more importantly, is not in the release or what's redacted from the release, right? That's when we can start again fucking counting some chickens, when we start seeing some names, some accountability, some victims seeing some justice towards their towards their abusers, towards the people that, have harmed them and been, victimizing them mentally and tormenting them mentally for so many years. That's when we can start fucking skiing down the slopes, but not until, and this is why we continuously bring up the fears and these possible off ramps, in ways that this could be, again, paused or prolonged in order to give, the Republicans possibly till after the midterms, which is what I'm sure they'd be loving to have. They would die to have this be pushed after the midterms, and not have to deal with it. But again, we need to make sure that's not a possibility. But let's see. What do you say we dump into Steve Bannon? Now that we're talking about the Epstein files, now we're diving into here. Let's talk about sloppy Steve Bannon and his Epstein secret. And again, let's ask ourselves the question, why isn't MAGA calling out Steve Bannon? Why isn't MAGA throwing Steve Bannon out onto the curb? Picking him up by his fucking shirt, picking him up by his fucking pants and tossing him right to the curb. Because he's been found in these emails, been enough emails to come out with him associated with it, him named in it, fucking him talking directly to Jeffrey and Mark Epstein, coaching them, talking about how they can get out of this and figuring how it can work for them politically. And isn't there enough to assume that he not only knew what was going on, but decided to stay in that fucking group, decided to help them, not only stay in the group, but, have a fucking a prime part in the group? Where's MAGA? Where's everybody in MAGA calling Steve Bannon out? Why haven't they thrown him out? I don't know. It's a question we're going to have to ask. But let's take a look at Kyle's video here, describing and kind of exposing Steve Bannon and his ties to Epstein just from what we already know, right? Doesn't have to be released. Doesn't have to be information coming in the release of the Epstein files from the DOJ. Shit we already know. But I don't hear that uproar. I don't hear people on the right. I don't hear these people that are supposed protectors of children coming out and talking about how they should disavow, disown, not watch, shun, prosecute, arrest, put in prison Steve Bannon. So let's just talk about and expose Steve Bannon's connections to Jeffrey Epstein and this whole thing for a couple minutes. Take it away. Again, this is Kyle Kalinske on his channel Secular Talk. Yeah, exposed sloppy Steve Bannon's dark secrets. Let's take a look at it. I appreciate you.
All right, guys, we got to talk about this big bombshell regarding sloppy Steve Bannon, because holy cow, is it wild. So take a look at this from Raw Story. Text to reveal Trump's right-hand man promised protection for Epstein. Quote, don't have to worry.
No, again, shouldn't this be enough for the MAGA base? For again, these people that are love the Sound of Freedom was their favorite fucking movie, right? They went to see it 10 times in the theater. The people that they claim they want the Epstein files released more than anybody, but yet go home and every day sit in the war room to watch Steve Bannon, the man that had direct connections with not only Jeffrey Epstein, not only fucking Donald Trump, but everybody else involved in this whole thing, and they can't put two and two together, right? And up until even now, when we've seen the new emails coming out, we know that was Steve Bannon talking about how he was with Jeffrey Epstein, how he's there coaching him and shit. Nothing. Crickets from MAGA. That's wild. That's weird.
Sorry. Steve Bannon, MAGA influencer and former White House chief of staff to President Trump, promised to shield Jeffrey Epstein from prosecution just months before his death in prison. Newly unearthed text messages suggested Monday. The text messages highlighted by author and academic Karen Piper Monday were part of a document dump of 20,000 pages of files from Epstein's estate that were released by the House Oversight Committee last week. Quote, if either one of us in different investigations will need to testify publicly, it would be preferred to do it with two nostrils instead of one, wrote
Epstein. This is Epstein. Don't forget, this is Epstein right into Bannon here.
In a text dated December 5th, 2018, to a person who, while their name was redacted, is believed to be Bannon based on contextual clues. The Guardian and other media outlets have reported, you don't have to worry personally because I'm sending you somewhere beyond extradition, wrote back the responder, believed to be Bannon, less than 2 minutes later.
So again, clear indication, clear evidence suggesting that he's trying to help, trying to assist this pedophile from evading prosecution, right? Sending him to somewhere beyond extradition. That's basically, helping him avoid prosecution, right? So again, is anybody on the MAGA base calling this out? Anybody?
The aforementioned text messages were exchanged. It had been just over a year since Bannon was forced out of Trump's administration, largely over his frequent clashes with Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, as well as suspicious a suspicion that he had been the source of several damaging leaks. In separate text message exchange, dated June 28, 2019, just 43 days before Epstein died in prison, the disgraced financier texted the individual believed to be Bannon about their friendship and how he believed it struck fear in Trump. Quote, "Now you can understand why Trump was up in the middle of the night sweating when he hears you and I are friends," Epstein wrote. Holy shit.
I mean, come on, right? I mean, look, again, I'll repeat that quote. "Now you can understand why Trump wakes up in the middle of the night sweating when he hears you and I are friends," end quote. Epstein wrote to, what they're reporting to be Steve Bannon. Again, this is above and beyond what we already know to be Steve Bannon in other emails, right? This is, even further indications to him assisting Jeffrey Epstein. Again, this ridiculously popular MAGA commentator, right-wing commentator on the right that people love. Now, again, this is what we know, but nothing. Crickets on the right, again, I'll keep repeating.
And Epstein had maintained a long relationship over the years, with the recent document release revealing more details about their friendship, including the fact that Bannon had advised Epstein on how to rehabilitate his image in the wake of his 2007 criminal conviction for child prostitution.
Now, in the wake of, awake is something behind you. So in the wake of means after the 2007 criminal conviction for child prostitution. So after. A boat's wake isn't in front of the boat, it's behind the boat. That's why, wake in wake of. So after. So this isn't like, okay, before, and he has the excuse where he can say, oh, we were just buddy before, and, up until that point, no, don't worry about it. Fucking, we disavowed him and we didn't talk to him. No. In the wake of his 2007 criminal conviction for child prostitution.
Bannon had also shot hours of interview material with Epstein that he teased in 2019, but ultimately never released. A photograph of Bannon was also discovered to have been prominently displayed. Jesus. Bannon promised to send Epstein somewhere beyond extradition. So this is one of the things that just came out, is that Sloppy Steve was lying about how close he was with Jeffrey Epstein. And this is a guy also, by the way, remember, he's a known criminal, and Trump pardoned him. He did the whole build the wall scam. They tried to privately crowdfund money to build the border wall, but they just raised the millions.
It's funny how they let him off the hook for that one, Chad, isn't it? It's funny how he was arrested on a Chinese billionaire's yacht for stealing money from the MAGA base to build a wall that never got built, and yet they let him off the hook on that one. Right? It seems like they don't actually care about, principles or being scammed even by themselves, by their own people. In this case, now, again, we're calling for the MAGA base to step up and speak up against their own, now that it comes to show how, just how in-depth his relationship was with Jeffrey Epstein, even after the criminal conviction. But no, I mean, it's pretty stupid of us to expect anything from them at this point, to tell you the truth.
And stole it. And so he committed fraud. Trump pardoned him. Him and Trump were con men together, Trump and Bannon. And Bannon befriended Epstein. He pretended like, oh, I did it so I could get like a documentary on him or something. There's reporting that documentary actually doesn't exist at all. But he was trying to explain away why he was so close with this guy. Oh, I was doing a documentary, but he never released it. There is no documentary. It's made up. And then when you see how close they are in the text, it is really, really something. So how about this one? Bannon and Epstein seemed very close. Let's go through some of these because these are crazy. Epstein, question mark. Bannon, will call shortly. Epstein, K, didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry. Bannon, unsupported message content. Epstein, continue tomorrow. Focus on Miller with a winky face. So Epstein is saying to Bannon, continue tomorrow. Focus on Miller with a winky.
Now, who's Miller? Because this is June 9th. Looks like June 9th, 2018. Was Stephen Miller in the picture back then, as far as it pertains to, in Steve Bannon's eye?
Face. Bannon says, AA. Epstein says, if you and a Miss Miller, in quotes, want some privacy, you can use the island or Palm Beach house anytime.
Oh, shit, huh? Oh, shit. If you and Miss Miller want some privacy, you can use the island or Palm Beach house anytime. Now, again, above and beyond the fact that if this is Stephen Miller's wife, that Jeffrey Epstein is kind of serving up to Steve Bannon at this point is kind of irrelevant. But the fact that Steve Bannon is so close to Jeffrey Epstein that he's willing and has use of his island whenever he wants, use of his Palm Beach house whenever he wants, should be a clear indication should be a very clear indication just to how close, again, Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein were and what their relationship was like and what was involved. You know, because Miss Miller, in quotes, kind of seems like little code talk. Seems like, you know, a lot of how these emails have come out, a lot of people have noticed in these emails, in these communications, just like, apparent code speak, like, you know, stuff that makes absolutely no sense, but, you know, only to the people that are writing it and in communication if you have knowledge of what the sentences mean. So a lot of that has been pointed out. So this, like, Miss Miller in quotations mark, like, why, if it was a Miss Miller, why would it be in quotes, right? Even if you were talking about a, you know, Miss Miller. So does Miss Miller represent something else? Is that an underage child, right? Is that a child that they're talking about as a Miss Miller, but they can't obviously name the person? And if he wants privacy, he can use the island or the Palm Beach house, right? And then Steve Bannon writes back, thanks, brother. Okay, so I don't know if we're trying to, incriminate somebody. I don't know what more you need to kind of incriminate somebody. Again, we don't know what the Miss Miller is, but it being in quotes kind of leads us to believe that it may be some sort of, you know, code or some sort of, you know, it represents something else, right?
Responds, thanks, brother. Hold up. Who the fuck is Miss Miller? So, some people are questioning,
sorry,
is that
let me
Stephen
put this back on the screen. I do apologize. I do that all the time.
Miller's brother? Use the island or Palm Beach house anytime. Bannon responds, thanks, brother. Hold up. Who the fuck is Miss Miller?
Jesus
some people are questioning, is that Stephen Miller's wife? I don't know. I don't even know if Stephen Miller was that much in the picture back then. I don't know who Miss Miller is, but it almost seems like they're talking in code because Miss Miller is in quotation marks. Why? Why is it in quotation marks? That's very weird. If you and a Miss Miller, so is Miss Miller a stand-in for like one of Epstein's girls that he traffics? If you and Miss Miller want some privacy, you can use the island.
Then put Steve Bannon directly in the firing line of people that were actively engaged in the acts of pedophilia, right? Not just somebody that was friendly with Jeffrey Epstein, not just somebody that coached him, not just somebody that helped him try to evade prosecution, right? But somebody that was actively engaged in these crimes himself.
Or Palm Beach home. What is his MO? That shit is all bugged, bro. All the rooms in these houses are bugged. He's offering Bannon to go there with what sounds like one of his girls, and then he'd have fucking blackmail on Bannon. Looks like he's still fucking doing this. Epstein says, you, 12 o'clock high. Me, high noon. Epstein, and the house,
that more of that, like, weird code speak that makes really no sense. You, 12 o'clock high. Me, high noon. I don't understand. 12 o'clock high, the war movie, high noon, the alcoholic beverage. Was high noon even a thing in 2018? I don't even think it was. Not 100% sure, but like what are they talking about? Just definitely seems like this more code speak. And you can see here, as he look, it says, yes, if it were today, she would have had a quote, easy pass installed on her thigh. I mean, it gets grosser too, so I'll let Kyle go on. But you can see the type of, communications, the type of rhetoric going on between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein, which gives you, again, a clear indication as to his connections to this and how, he should be the first one on the fucking gutter, the first one on the sidewalk being kicked out of MAGA if, again, they were, true to their beliefs or true to their supposed beliefs, I should say.
Invite is sincere and not made often. Bannon, thanks, appreciate that. You love high noon and Grace Kelly was filthy. What? Epstein, yes, if it were today, she would have had an easy pass installed on her thigh. Jesus. Bannon, just a good mainline Catholic schoolgirl. Epstein, brother, you should really take Miss Miller to ranch sometime this summer. Bannon, I'm all in.
Again, with this Miss Miller and Steve Bannon trying to, again, it looks like Epstein trying to pimp out somebody to Steve Bannon, and Kyle made reference in the clip before. Was this because he wants to get, Steve Bannon into one of these houses to get him on camera, to get him on, and who knows if this is even the first time. Maybe this isn't even the fucking first time, and maybe he's already got him on camera, and then he's just kind of, offering up his houses because that's how close he is with Steve Bannon at this time. But, again, are you hearing this stuff being talked about by the right? Do you hear this stuff being called out by people like Fox News? Are they bringing this up on their nightly newscasts? Is any of the YouTubers that from MAGA talking about this? Because I haven't heard it. And I've been doing a lot of digging, trying to figure out, and research this ongoing MAGA battle with the three things that I continuously point back to, which are Charlie Kirk, Israel, and the Epstein files. And I haven't heard much about Steve Bannon's involvement.
Then Epstein sends a Daily Mail article, and Bannon says, yep. Epstein says that Trump Kim movie was more like High at 12 o'clock. Epstein sends a Page 6 article. Rudy Giuliani had an affair with married woman before divorce. Epstein says driving Rudy nuts. Epstein says when you get a chance, chat. And Bannon says, yes, I will call. So they really were close as fuck. The other thing is, at one point, it's not in this exchange, but at one point, Epstein asks Bannon, or Bannon asks Epstein, if the thing is true about E. Jean Carroll, how E. Jean Carroll accused Trump of grape in like a department store changing room. And I forget who asked who, but one person asked and the other person said, yes, it's real. So in other words, Trump did that shit. So just absolutely incredibly disturbing here. They are buddy-buddy. Epstein to Bannon, quote, reminder, money, medicine, law, Jews only. To which Bannon,
this is where it starts getting really weird here. This is where the Israel side of this whole talk, or I guess aspect to it, kind of comes into play. Because again, this is Epstein to Bannon. Reminder: money, medicine, law, Jews only. To which Bannon responds, I've only had Jewish doctors and lawyers since leaving the Navy. At least part of the Epstein story is about Jewish supremacy, exceptionalism, whatever you want to call it. And this has been said by a lot of the victims here, where people like Ghislaine Maxwell, people like Jeffrey Epstein were, kind of abusive towards people and women that weren't Jewish, and they wouldn't serve them food, and would actively talk about how, Jews were supreme over other, types of religions and stuff like that. So it kind of got weird here, where Steve Bannon even replied, yes, I've only had Jewish doctors and lawyers since leaving the Navy, especially taking his stance now alongside of people like Candace Owens, this like anti-Israel stance that he's taken. So, is it because that, the government of Israel, or, is it for his hatred now that Jeffrey Epstein had dirt on him and he's trying to distance himself? I don't know what's going on with that, but, a lot of these communications directly contradicting some of what Steve Bannon has been talking about now, or at least what he espouses now, as far as his like, anti-Israel sentiment, and going along again with people like Candace Owens. But yeah, this is tight. This is weird shit.
I've only had Jewish doctors and lawyers since leaving the Navy. At least part of the Epstein story is about Jewish supremacy and exceptionalism. All right, so let me read you these. And then I have a video, because there's a good documentary that came out on Netflix about the whole Epstein thing. And it came out a while ago, too. And they have a portion on this. They have they do a little segment.
Just for the sake of time, I'll cut to the video that he's talking about here, where where they bring up the speak about Jewish supremacy here. Check this out.
To go get food. And when I called Ghislaine and asked why I couldn't eat there, she said, it's a Jewish country club. You're not Jewish.
So it's hard to hear, but she says, I called and asked Ghislaine Maxwell if I could go get something to eat. They won't serve me. Why won't they serve me here? It's because it's a Jewish country club and they won't serve anybody that's not Jewish, is the response that she got.
They're not going to serve you. This is how this woman spoke to me. Yeah. This is how these people think, Whitney. They, honest to God, think their DNA is better than everybody else. I swear to you. It was a theme all the time with them. With Eileen Guggenheim, with, Jeffrey Epstein, with Ghislaine. It was a theme. Jeffrey was a lot less horrible than Ghislaine as far as a human being, like just being around. She was raping.
And this is another one of the victims that confirms that Ghislaine Maxwell was the more monstrous of the two. Like you clearly just said, even Jeffrey wasn't as bad as Ghislaine was. She was much more monstrous in the way not only she treated people, but also in the abuse category as well.
Any children.
So the country club, you weren't allowed to go because it was only for people of a certain religion and ethnicity. Okay, so that's unfortunate.
I mean, they could cut you down, and it was so morally devastating. You just felt useless as a human being when you were told, you're nothing because you're not Jewish, you're stupid, you're useless, a useless white girl, a poor little peasant. Just the things that I was called, I was just like, I believed it, because it was like a cult, the problem. Yeah, you wouldn't believe the way Jeffrey and Ghislaine spoke about African Americans. It was like, it made my skin crawl.
She said, you won't believe the way that Ghislaine and Jeffrey spoke about African Americans.
Anybody who was not Jewish, and you're right about this, but the way they spoke about them, it was really horrifying. And it showed me a great deal about how these people truly believe that they're chosen to do something here. I don't know. It's unbelievable to me. And it was every one of them, the way they spoke. And one time I heard Isabel say to her mother, Eileen, Mommy, why do you call Maria a nobody? And she said, honey, Isabel, Maria is not a Jew. She is a nobody.
Well, it is
So you can see why for about 20
that type of
years.
stuff I might actually include just because the Maxwell family has
You should
ties to
include
this
it.
group.
You should include it.
What's it called? Abadovich. And
Oh,
group
got it.
openly talks about how only Jews are human and the rest of human beings are like cattle.
So that's from a documentary. I believe he said it was on Netflix regarding the Epstein files there. So again, more odd behavior, more odd stuff, and more connections to Israel. More evidence to suggest that Ghislaine Maxwell, the person that is now getting preferential treatment by the Trump administration, was moved from one cushy assignment to an even cushier assignment, handed a puppy and told that she can go different places after hours, to the point where even the gods at that fucking facility are like embarrassed and pissed off at the way they have to treat this person. But yes, that person now from another victim we can hear here was the more monstrous of the two. Again, not giving not bailing out Jeffrey in any way, shape, or form, but just saying, hey, she was monstrous in her own right. She was considered just as bad, if not worse, by these victims in their own right.
There is, and by the way, this is where you get Zionism from. This is where you get what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza. This is
All right,
where.
So let's get on, just for the sake of time, because I know I'm running out of time here. Let's see. What do I got? About an hour left. Let's dive into our next topic, which is, I don't know if we can consider it the main topic, but definitely the main question that I wanted to get into, which is, did Jeffrey Epstein, did Melania Trump schlup Jeffrey Epstein, and is that the compromise? The simple compromise hanging over Donald Trump's head. That Vladimir Putin is dangling over Donald Trump's head. I don't know, but 'tis the question being asked now. And this is the I've Had It ladies, both Jen and Pumps, with a video titled "Trump Mortified After Melania's Secret Relationship with Epstein Gets Exposed." And I am very interested to hear what's going on here, because I have a few examples of, Russian state media in the past kind of using this as a tool over Donald Trump. So let's take a look at this, what they have to say, and then we'll dive into some of the evidence, the pieces of evidence that I've pulled up from RT and from Russian propaganda in the past. Let's check it out.
Well, it looks like Kank wasn't the only one giving blowjobs to Bubba. We also have the biographer of Prince Andrew telling us that Melania Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were playing hide the weenie too.
So here we are with him in Mar-a-Lago, as you see with Epstein. Sorry, can you see okay? Epstein, a woman called Gwendolyn Beck, who Andrew took to the island, and Melania. I had various references in my book to Melania Trump. Epstein had actually been her lover before Trump, but Trump didn't like that in the book, so he ordered it.
Hold on now, and just hang on, for context, like she said, this is the, biographer, Prince Andrew's autobiographer, if I'm not mistaken, is what she said. And he's talking about how he had, credible evidence, parts that were supposed to go in the book, of how Melania had slept with Jeffrey Epstein before Donald was in the picture, but Donald didn't like that very much and had it taken out of the book. So let me see if I can play this again. All right, check this out.
Epstein were playing hide the weenie too.
So here we are with him in Mar-a-Lago, as you see with Epstein. Sorry, can you see okay? Epstein, a woman called Gwendolyn Beck, who Andrew took
on the screen is Gwendolyn Beck, as you can see here, Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew, and Melania.
To the island, and Melania. I had various references in my book to Melania Trump. Epstein had actually been her lover before Trump.
I had various references in my book about Melania Trump and how that Epstein had been her lover before Donald Trump. Okay. Now, again, is that something? Is that what Jeffrey Epstein took to Vladimir Putin in their fucking famous meeting? Is that what the compromise is? Is it pictures? Is it? I don't know.
Trump didn't like that in the book, so he ordered it to be taken out of the book. After about 60,000 copies had been printed. So it seemed to be a pretty pointless gesture, but anyway, our publishers did it, but I keep spreading the word.
And as you said, like you said, it went out in about 60,000 copies, and it has been suggested before, but I don't think we've heard really this part of the puzzle been brought up in this way, especially where you got the person saying on camera that Donald Trump ordered this to be taken out of the book, right? It may have gone in on some, it may have not gone in some, and people kind of probably had their speculation as to why. But now hearing it firsthand from the guy that Donald Trump, now knew about this, and let's continue with what their theory is on this as well.
Okay. Here's the deal. I bought that book thinking that it talked about Epstein and Melania Trump, but I bought the book that had already been redacted. I wasn't one of the first 60,000 copies. Are you even remotely surprised that Melania is in this as much as her beloved husband?
No, I'm not even remotely surprised. Nor do I think this is like a massive story. I think what bothers me more about the whole Epstein thing that people are not focusing on are Jeffrey Epstein's collusion and information exchange with Vladimir Putin and the government of Israel. And of course,
right. And she brings up a good point because, I kind of went digging back just really quick. And I found out, I ran into this from RT. From 2016, 1 August 2016, online outrage over New York Post nude pics of Melania Trump, Donald not too bothered. But they go on here to just use this ability that they're posting the headlines to post that headline. Right. So they're kind of like pretending to report on it while, getting this opportunity to put this cover out there to both their viewers and their listeners and stuff like that. So the photos were taken in 95. She was 25, yada, yada, yada. But they post this on their website as they're talking about this. But then you go to this story. This was from a year ago. So I don't know exactly when this was posted, but this is from Media Monitor and Russian Propaganda, their news nightly network, talking about Melania Trump. Let's play this for just a second. Remember this? Oops, sorry. Let me put this on the screen for you guys so you can see it. That might help. So it says on the bottom, now that Melania Trump's husband has finally won, and it goes on.
Nude photos of Melania Trump have been aired on Russia's most watched state TV channel during a program supposedly...
See in the background what's going on? You can see the pictures in the background.
Melania
Watch the pictures
Trump
on the
have
screen.
been aired on Russia's most watched state TV
So
channel.
there's the nude photos of Melania going up.
During a program supposedly dedicated...
There's nude photos of Melania going up.
...to celebrating Trump's election victory. This comes after Trump allegedly urged Putin not to escalate the Ukraine war in a phone call last week. But the Kremlin denies that this phone call ever took place. Despite Trump's repeated claims that he has a good relationship with Putin, things appear to have gotten off to a rocky start between the pair. As of right now, experts estimate that 50,000 Russian and North Korean troops are getting ready to carry out an assault on Ukraine.
Is this why Vladimir Putin's so confident? I don't know. I don't understand. Is this the compromise that people have been talking about? Maybe it's not a P-tape. Maybe it's just, proof that Melania had slept with Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe it's a Jeffrey Epstein-Melania sex tape that Donald Trump doesn't want released. And that's why he's given Vladimir Putin, the space to continue to kill Ukrainians on a nightly basis. Right? I mean, I'm just asking questions. Isn't that what Tucker did? Tucker just asked questions. So I'm just asking questions, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. I cannot be certain. Let's see. Does this go on to give any more insight into their relationship? Here, check this out right here. Remember this because they bring up this great point as well.
Impact the war in Ukraine.
Would you give Ukraine weapons and funding?
Well, during his election campaign, Trump said he would end the Ukraine war in one day.
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours.
How would you settle that war in one day?
Because I'll meet with Putin, I'll meet with Zelensky. They both have weaknesses and they both have strengths. And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. It'll be over.
Yeah, how'd that go? How's that going, I should say, right? Which is just fucking kind of crazy. Let me see here. Put this back on the screen as well, because I'm just kind of curious as to whether or not, Jen and Pumps go further into this Putin connection. Let me see if I can put this back on the screen, put this back for you. I'm curious if they make that connection because I haven't watched it up until this point.
Of course, the United States government, the United States media, rather, rarely covers this information exchange and potential compromise on that Jeffrey Epstein was getting with American men, American businessmen, and exchanging this information to Israel. And it's my understanding that Jeffrey Epstein took this information directly to Vladimir Putin. So if you think about the way Putin humiliated Melania right after the 2.0, they had her on Russian propaganda news and some of her modeling photos and kind of...
No, not just some of her modeling photos. And she's 100% right, but not just some of her modeling photos. Let me see here. We'll go back just to prove it a second time. Not just her modeling photos.
Supposedly dedicated.
The nude modeling
Trump's
photos, not
election
just
victory.
anyone's. The ones where she ain't wearing any clothes.
Melania Trump. Муж, наконец, победил, готовится во второй.
Nude photos of Melania Trump have been aired on Russia's most watched state TV channel.
There you go. Right. So not just the ones where she's I guess it's technically still correct in saying it's modeling, but it's very necessary to specify as the nude modeling photos that they put up. Just to reiterate there.
Talking about her like she was a piece of meat in Russian media. So this tells me that Putin knows this. Putin knows that Trump got Jeffrey Epstein's sloppy second. So the larger international implications of all of this for all of the national security Republicans and all the national security pundits at Fox are what's far more insidious to me.
Well, when I look at this, I just think what we're seeing is a classic corrupt cover-up by the most corrupt administration. And I'm with you. If Trump is giving Bubba a blowjob and Vladimir Putin has the video, that explains everything we need to know about how he has acted. Then you have what he's doing for Israel.
And again, you can interject and just replace the Bubba blowjob, whether or not, again, that's Bill Clinton or Ghislaine Maxwell's horse, with this, the compromise of Jeffrey Epstein and the relationship between him and Melania Trump before Donald Trump was in the picture. So it could have the very same effect, right? This compromise. I don't think Russia really cares as to what the compromise they have over somebody else is, as long as it's sufficient enough to make that person want to do the dance that they are instructing them to do because of the fear that this information will be released. If it's not something that this person cares will be released, then it doesn't have that same effect. You can't hold that over the person's head as leverage. It has to be egregious enough and something that gets right to the heart of the person that they definitely don't want people to find out about in order to have that be effective like that.
Israel first, not America first. What does Netanyahu have? We know Epstein has these ties. Howard Lutnick told us that he recorded everything and bribed everyone.
Again, tying all this together, right? This just kind of ties all of this together. Why, the questions that people have been asking, why did Donald Trump, is he so buddy with Benjamin Netanyahu? Why is he so willing to allow the government of Israel to continue their genocide? Why hasn't he done anything? Why is he talking about building, a Trump Plaza Gaza and, this whole bullshit? Is it possibly because of not only Jeffrey Epstein and his, involvement and relationship with the Israeli government in Mossad and what he may know and what he may have found out, and then in turn what the Israeli government knows from that? Same thing with Vladimir Putin. Is he buddy with Vladimir Putin? Has he been giving him a deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline as Ukrainians die on a nightly basis? Has he been friendly with him? Has he rolled out the red carpet because of what Vladimir Putin has on Donald Trump, right? And is that why they had that backdoor meeting with no translators? Is that why people like fucking Steve Witkoff were dumb enough to accept, a Russian translator on his trip? Who knows? I don't know. Questions to be asked. I'm just asking those questions. Let me know in the chat what you guys think.
Is at his house all the time. Like, I'm with you.
Thank you guys to everybody donating today. I really do appreciate it. I know I suck at the self-promotional bullshit, but I appreciate you guys keeping me on track. Coco, Cat, Cookie, everybody that's donated before that. Please make sure you stick around to the end of the show where I give everybody their shout out that they deserve. I make sure everybody gets shouted out and appreciated and highlighted for their contributions to the channel, whether it be, sending a Venmo, whether it be a super sticker, super chat, gifting memberships, whatever it may be. I love to say thank you to everybody at the end of the show. So make sure you stick around for that. Hit the like button. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Thank you for tuning in.
National security ramifications are not to protect the pedophiles and the Epstein files. It needs to be, why is national security at an all-time low? Because these leaders of other countries have shit on our president and everybody acts like it's normal. I mean, I just don't understand it.
And why is the American media refusing to really cover this aspect of it? That's corporate media. Of course, independent media, we're all talking about it. Pod Save did a really big story on, or episode on the Jeffrey Epstein Israel connection to former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, who Virginia Giuffre says raped her in her book. And these are major stories. And
well, that's because
Trump,
the mainstream media has been cowed by Trump's aggression. They have been cowed by Trump's lawsuits. They have been, already beaten into submission by Trump's weaponization of his power, and making sure that only the people that are the nicest and write good things about him are allowed entry into the press room, or on Air Force One. His lawsuits against 60 Minutes or CBS, ABC, all of them at this point, Paramount. His involvement in the merger and sticking his buddy in there to make sure that he has an impact on that. Whether it's Jimmy Kimmel talking about Seth Meyers, the list is kind of endless at this point in ways he's kind of tried to manipulate the media in ways in which the media has capitulated and absolutely bent the knee, in ways in which they didn't have to, in ways in which they definitely could have won had they gone to court, had they fought these issues, but they didn't want to be on the wrong side of Donald Trump. They felt it more necessarily to cave in and to wave the white flag and to just kind of appease and to pay Donald Trump millions of dollars in settlements, than it was to fight for the American people, to fight for the rights that the free press has in this country. And they just, again, kind of left the American people hanging to dry, and left it up to shows like this, independent media creators like myself, like the I've Had It ladies, who are, again, obviously much bigger and much more influential than I, but again, people like us on this on this space to be talking about this. And I appreciate you guys for joining in, to small communities and small shows like this, as well as the bigger shows like the I've Had It ladies. So you guys are making your rounds, you're doing your due diligence, you're supporting these smaller shows, and I can't thank you enough and tell you how much I appreciate it. So thank you so much.
has now ordered his DOJ to investigate Democrats involved in it, to throw the base and Fox News a shiny object to look at it. But I want to be crystal clear about the moral clarity that we as a country should all have in this. If it's a Democrat, if it's a Republican, if it's a former prime minister, if it is a bank CEO, if it is an industry titan of any way, shape, or form, and they're involved in this horrific pedophilia ring, expose every last one of them. And I'm going to be.
Now, isn't it funny how, regardless if you're, a channel with, less than 15,000 subscribers on the left, or if you're a channel with, I don't know how many they have, over 1 million subscribers on the left, how we're saying the same things, like the same exact thing that I reiterated yesterday. Don't care what color you are. Don't care what nationality you are. Don't care what religion you are. Don't care what fucking letter is in front of your name. I don't care how many numbers are in your bank account. I don't care what corporation you're the head of. I don't give a shit who you are. If you're found out to be affiliated, associated, and engaged in any of these fucking crimes, lock them the fuck up. Prosecute, take them to trial, show them the evidence, bring them to fucking court, slap them in front of the fucking American public, in front of cameras, shame them until they can't be shamed anymore, and perp walk them right into their own cell. I'll do it myself if I have to. But it's just funny how, everybody on the left seems to be under the same sentiment in that regard. Like, doesn't matter who's on what side, I don't give a shit. Let's just release everything. Where the people on the right, the Republicans, are more like, okay, let's see how many Democrats we can point out on this while redacting as many and all Republican names as humanly possible, right? That's the difference between us, at least in this regard, in this instance. So, a good thing to bring up.
Harder on the Democrats than I am on the Republicans, because in the MAGA regime, I expect them to exploit children. Their policies exploit children. They weaponize children as a means to get people to vote for them and act like they care about children with all of their pro-life legislation, which is actually just anti-woman legislation. So I expect this from MAGA. I expect this from the evangelical base, because they are so dismissive of humans once they are born. But if any Democrats are involved in this, that type of hypocrisy, I'm going to call out even more than I am these Republicans.
I completely agree. And, another thing is Trump's now saying, well, I've ordered the release of the files, which he could have done all along. But we know for a fact the fix is in. He is not releasing unredacted, here's the whole file. He is sitting on it. He is going to have it completely sanitized.
Again, here we go. I mean, this is what we discussed yesterday. We brought up the fact that Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, was on with Chris Cuomo on News Nation talking about the, so-called alleged credible information that he had, that these files were being so-called sanitized. They were being scrubbed. You can go back. We did several videos on it on my channel if you didn't check out the live yesterday. yesterday, you don't want to check out and sit through the whole thing, we shortened it up for you in either a couple shorts or a shortened video talking about the same thing. And I kind of leave it up to you. I'm just doing the reporting here where this is what he said. And what do you guys think? Is this something that's plausible? Do you think it's possible? Is it, something that you think would be in the realm of possibility? Knowing what you know about the Trump administration, do they have the time to do this? Do they have the ability to do this? Can they do this and not have the information still known and be found somewhere on the back end? I don't know. I leave that up to you guys to kind of figure out. But, yesterday's show, we talked about the same thing. Not only now, we got the I've Had It ladies talking about the same thing that Breaking Points was bringing up. Now that Pam Bondi has the ability to withhold and redact things that she deems necessary to redact, nobody really has the trust that we're going to see the entirety of the files that we thought that we were going to see. And this is being, it's a widespread fear, as you can see throughout, multiple different channels in multiple different, sets of different subsets of the political population.
Here's Pam Bondi confirming all of this.
The DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has helpful information.
Look at Cash Patel.
There's information new information, additional information. And again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads.
Pause that.
Yeah.
Pause that. Is the information.
Just like, did somebody give Cash Patel the instructions to stare straight ahead, and knowing that's very difficult with the eyes that he was born with, but they just kind of like, he's just like, stare straight, please don't look at me. Don't ask me any questions. I don't want to be looked at. I don't want to be involved in this in any way, shape, or form in this regard.
Pam Bondi, that your boss was giving a blowjob to somebody named Bubba, which we have 3 candidates for, obviously Vladimir Putin, Ghislaine Maxwell's horse Bubba, and then some billionaire oil guy from Odessa, his son, who's a big swinging dick around Mar-a-Lago, who's hangs out with Trump all the time, who goes by Bubba. So there's 3 candidates. And is the new information, Pam Bondi, that this is why when everybody was in Alaska.
You know who was missing? Like we were talking about earlier, chat. You know who was missing from that whole press conference? You had Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Cash Patel. I didn't see Dan Bongino. Hashtag where's Bongino? Where is he? I don't know. But he's definitely not out there with his compadres, trying to lie in front of the American people. Maybe he just can't bring himself to do it after years and years and years of being a podcaster, talking about how desperate he was for the release of the unredacted Epstein files. I don't know. Maybe it finally got to him. I haven't seen any reporting, but we'll have to look into that because I didn't see him. Didn't see him. All right, let's put this back on. Sorry. Just a couple more minutes of this, and we'll dive into, some further updates on what's going on in Pokrovsk, so that we can be completely up to date, so we can be completely knowledgeable on what's happening, so we can fight through the propaganda, which is, the main point of this show. All right, let's dive into a little bit more of this.
And everybody went to a closed door meeting with Vladimir Putin. Did he whip out the president of the United States on his hands and knees blowing Bubba? We all know he knows how to do it because we saw
Or
him
did he whip out the video of Jeffrey Epstein and Melania Trump, doing the deed, getting it on a little bit there? I mean, again, both of these things would have, and go to be used towards the same purpose, towards the same ends of, having and using control over Donald Trump, over the United States government, so that they could do and get away with anything that they so choose, or at least up until a point, you know what I mean, until they have to finally release this from their grasp. Which hasn't been done yet. Donald Trump's been a good boy. He's been kind of playing his role. Maybe a lot of these battles and fights are made up to make it look like he's doing something, but at the same time rolling out the red carpet. And again, deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline. Again, we haven't heard him speak about it in quite some time. At this point, hasn't signed off on the release of the Tomahawks. The only good news that we've been hearing lately that pertains to Ukraine and the United States is the apparent release of the permission to use ATACMS again in what we reported yesterday. But that's about it as that goes.
On the campaign trail with jarring familiarity with a microphone on how to perform a blowjob. And of course, this has just been completely pushed to the bottom of the news cycle. So what is that new information, Pam Bondi? Because it seems
that Trump has, like, even like he knows that regardless of how big the news story and how harmful it, like he just does something every day, or somebody in his cabinet or somebody ridiculous in Fox News will do something every day that inevitably will take the news cycle, will take the focus back off of that, and will give Donald Trump just enough leeway to back out of that. He'll be able to bullshit his way out of and propagandize his way through his MAGA base. And then it's just kind of on to the next thing. Like, right, we reported at the beginning of this, Donald Trump literally reporting, and we'll bring it back up just in case anybody joined us late in this, Donald Trump reporting seditious behavior punishable by death, and then also retweeting or retruthing, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Hang them, George Washington would. So this is somebody on Donald Trump's True Social website that commented on the post of the Democrats video reminding U.S. service members that they can't or don't have the duty to follow unlawful orders. Just a reminder that that's what set off Donald Trump to the point where he's now, excuse me. Let me put this back on the screen. My apologies. I keep doing that. Yeah, it's great. Donald Trump. This one. Thank you. Jesus Christ. I don't know what keeps happening. Something's going on with StreamYard. But anyways, yeah, this is, again, the president of the United States. You can see right up the top here, Donald Trump retruthed this person, P78, with what looks to be a German crosshair. Hang them, George Washington would. Got 6,805, 6.85 thousand likes, 1.4 thousand retweets, truths, or whatever, and a bunch of comments on there. But the comments keep going on of Donald Trump. These are all retruth by Donald Trump, different accounts, talking about how they're traitors and should be held to account, and talking about how they're terrorists, committed sedition, insurrection, it's a coup. It just goes on. And then Donald Trump finally himself, instead of retruthing other people, went on to talk about, as I showed you, is this not going to let me to the top of the screen now? Oh, here it is. Where he said, yes, this is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up, 3 question marks. Again, you can be damn sure that Pam Bondi is going to be all over this and announcing investigations. Seditious behavior punishable by death. Is what Donald Trump said at this point 5 hours ago now on his True Social. So yeah, just to kind of, bring it all full circle in case anybody's just joining us as to, how fast, how quickly the news cycle kind of jumps from one thing to another. Like, that's what we woke up to this morning, was the president calling for other politicians to again be hung, apparently. And then I'm sure tomorrow is going to be something else. Tomorrow, the next day will be something else, and so on and so forth. Let's put this back on just for another minute. We'll get out of this, and then we'll go on to the frontline update.
Like, the more and more we dig into this, the more and more your
hold on. Slotkin made a response vid. Slotkin made it. Why does it keep taking me off the screen when it puts you guys on the screen? I have no idea why that's happening. That is just so weird. I'll have to check that out. I'll take a look at it. You mean a response vid to what? Their accusations? Let me play this. I'll see if I can find that in the background.
Your boss is at the epicenter of it, and now he's in the epicenter of it doing gay stuff, which is really rich considering your party is so terrified of drag queens. Meanwhile, you've got the biggest fucking queen on the planet rolling around the Oval Office with his Marie Antoinette bullshit and listening to the Phantom of the Opera full tilt to distract from the fact that the Epstein estate has released the fact that you do gay stuff with some guy named Bubba. And here's the deal. I don't give a shit, Kanks, if you want to do gay stuff.
All right, I think I found it. I think I got it. I think this is it right here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, mods. Appreciate you for letting me know. Let me throw this on the screen because this is apparently Alyssa Slotkin's response. It says, earlier this morning, President Trump threatened me and a group of service and veterans members of Congress with arrest, trial, and death by hanging. Here's my response. Play this, put this on the full screen. I'll get out of your way, and I'll let her speak.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin, Senator from Michigan, former CIA officer. Earlier today, President Trump threatened myself and a number of other service and veteran lawmakers with arrest, trial, and death because he didn't agree with a video we put out this week. This really isn't about those of us who made the video. This is about who we are as Americans and how we're going to engage with people who we disagree with. I would hope that people of all backgrounds, Democrat, Republican, Independent, would agree that threatening death for people you disagree with is beyond the pale of who we are as Americans. I love this country. It has given me everything, everything. And I refuse to believe that this is the new normal. I refuse to believe that we're going to use fear and intimidation against people we disagree with. And I'm not going to be forced away from speaking up on behalf of my country. I swore an oath to the Constitution many times, most recently.
I mean, if I can interject, it still sounds a bit, I'm not, if I may, and Blunt Politics is the name of the show, so I'm not going to fucking hold back, but it sounds a bit mealy-mouthed. It sounds a bit, fucking middle of the road, independent, more independent-like politician as far as democracy. Like why are you surprised that Donald Trump is doing, like, why are we still at this point surprised that Donald Trump would be coming out with rhetoric like this or putting this type of fucking shit out there into the political zeitgeist, or this, fucking, stochastic terrorism that he's so fucking desperately known for and has been doing since he got into politics over 10 years ago or whatever it is at this point now. Like, why are we still acting surprised at this point? Why are we being like, oh, like, fucking come out and be like, this is what the fuck we're dealing with. Like, this is the asshole who's now fucking threatening death on people. We've been dealing with this for 10 years. I'm sick of dealing with it for doing my job, or calling it as I see it, reminding these, like, I don't know. I feel like it's still too center-ish. You know what I mean? Still not fucking down to the point. Not aggressive enough in my opinion, if I may interject.
A year ago as a senator, to the Constitution, not to any one man, not to any one president. And I abide by that oath. For me, I believe in the power of this country and that we are better than our current politics represent. And I refuse to be intimidated out of defending the country I love.
So I agree with the sentiment of the video. I agree with her being, kind of pissed off and having a response to it. But I don't know. I don't like this whole still being like, oh, I'm still surprised that we're dealing with rhetoric like this from this administration, from this party. Like, it's not surprising. It's something that we've been dealing with for years and years and years at this point. So to be surprised, I don't know. It irks me when people are surprised by this shit at this point. All right, let's say we dive into how much time we got. Yeah, we probably got enough time. Let's see if we can dive into our last story that we're going to cover. I want to pop in here and see if we can kind of get further updated as to what's going on in Pokrovsk. Obviously, this huge area of contention now going on and taking place. We don't want the propaganda usage on both sides to kind of take an effect and kind of lead you in one way or the other in a stray direction. So we try to stay as involved, as on top of these as we can. We try to watch as many different content creators and different people affiliated and people showing us what's going on the ground, so that we can kind of get a grasp on what's happening through our own eyes. But what do you say we take a look at this? This is, I think it's RFU News, if I'm not mistaken. Russian soldiers broadcast a complete nightmare of what is going on in Pokrovsk. Drone war. And this is something that we've been continuously hearing. I think we reported on a Russian soldier yesterday who had just been kind of left to die and was like, another one of these people that was surprised that being thrown into this meat grinder, that his military didn't have his back when it came time to it, which is ridiculous at this point of the war, like I said yesterday. But let's see if we can dive into this. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava for everybody that's represented. Thank you so much for watching.
Today there are decisive updates from the Pokrovsk direction. Here, the Ukrainian command deployed some of their most lethal drone units to hunt down Russian infiltrators inside Pokrovsk. The special forces proved their effectiveness by dealing the enemy some of their worst losses in the biggest drone massacre of the war. President Volodymyr Zelensky's arrival at Magyar's headquarters on the Pokrovsk front marked the moment Ukrainian drone warfare entered an intensified phase. He came specifically to visit every major drone unit operating in this sector, from the 1st Azov Corps and the 25th Airborne to the 7th Rapid Response Rubizh and others, to ensure they had every tool needed to hunt down Russian forces.
All right, so basically, doing his part, going to these people, showing them, hey, listen, we will give you the tools necessary, but I need you to, to kind of step it up. I need you to be even more effective with the weapons that we're giving you. Going, visiting the front lines like a good fucking leader should, like an actual military combat leader would. And he's seen definite successes from that. These troops have definitely responded to his request, definitely responded, to the orders of the Ukrainian leaders here, in this area, and it's done a great job, because we've heard several times now, reported by Russian propaganda, that the entirety of this area had been taken over, and time again that's proven false. Time and time again, the Ukrainian soldiers have fought back, have regained territory, have managed to push back, or at least, at the very least, manage to take a terrible toll on the Russian soldiers that have been gaining any territory that they have been managed to gain. So let's take a look at this. I'll put this on the map because this kind of shows you. Let me show you this, because this kind of gives you a good idea as to why Pokrovsk is such a sticking point. So you can see Pokrovsk right here, and if we zoom out, you can see just how that's right along the roads to places like Dnipro, Zaporizhia, bigger places, and then, this whole area right here is kind of like the Zaporizhia, basin where they have defenses set up. So, if and when they get through Pokrovsk, it kind of gives them, the open shot, not an open shot because there are defenses, but a better area, a better area of attack, a better way to get to areas like Zaporizhia and Dnipro. So you can see why a lot of people are kind of like, why is this area being fought over so heavily? But when you zoom out, it kind of gives you a better idea as to why this is so important, even though it's a small, one of the smaller settlements that you look out. But, it doesn't take much. Like I said, when you zoom out Pokrovsk here in the center, Dnipro, Zaporizhia, onto different places in those areas as well. You know what I mean? So Kamenansk, Pavlovrad, they're just different areas in which that this gives them a direct route almost, and leaves it pretty much up to the defense basin in and around Dnipro and Zaporizhia. So kind of gives you an insight as to why this is so heavily fought over. Let me put this back on for you. Thank you.
Both Zelensky and Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi issued the same directive: finish off the Russians in Pokrovsk, and what followed proved the order had landed with absolute clarity. The 414th Brigade Birds of Magyar was deployed to counter Russian attempts to reinforce their forces inside Pokrovsk. The Russian command continues using the tactic of infiltration, and footage
and again,
shows that
Magyar's Birds has been a group that has been long talked about since pretty much the beginning of this war, of having incredible effects. Some of the some of the earliest videos that we got coming out of some of these drone wars, the FPV footage that was coming out was from Magyar's Birds, and the drones flying into different vehicles, like that's pretty much normalized now. But when that was first coming out, when that was first taking place, when that was first something developing on the battlefield, it was people like Magyar's Birds and other organizations like that that were responsible for the vast majority of the the video, the footage that was coming out to show us what was going on.
most of the soldiers are moving alone, trying to use the terrain and every advantage to hide, hoping Ukrainian operators will not spend drones on single soldiers. Yet the images prove that the Ukrainian operators are following the orders strictly, tracking and destroying even single soldiers, targeting them as many times as needed to be sure they are dead.
And that was proven by the video we showed the other day, again, of the Russian soldier who managed to get away from, I think it was 7 or 8 different FPV drones, but, failed, was ineffective, unable to get away from, it was either the 9th, 10th to 11th drone. So you can see, again, just how much these drones have multiplied in the skies over the battlefield here.
The Birds of Magyar reported 8,005 Russian troops eliminated in October alone, proving how unstoppable their operators have become, with just one clip showing 39 Russian soldiers, 6 motorcycles, and a quad bike destroyed, infiltrators hunted day and night, and even soldiers hiding under rubble or inside garages found and neutralized. Magyar's fighters have turned the entire southern perimeter of Pokrovsk into a drone-dominated kill zone. Anything that moves is targeted, and anything that hides is found in the massacre. Alongside them,
but as you can see, it's still very evident, it's still very clear as to the severity of the situation, right? I mean, you can see just here on the map how little territory the Ukrainian military is still able to hold here, hold on to, as in terms of Pokrovsk at least. But it still isn't taken over like you'd hear from the Russian propaganda. They are still doing their best in order to inflict the most damage towards the enemy as humanly possible, and that's exactly what they've been able to do. And they're still hanging on, they're still battling, but we can still go on and recognize just how severe the situation is in that area. So, both things can be true at the same time.
Main Intelligence Directorate deployed its elite special forces with the specific task to clear those Russians already inside the town, a decision that immediately altered the balance of the battle. Its drone operators are among the most skilled, and once they joined the fight for Pokrovsk, Russian losses skyrocketed. The Special Forces operators started using predominantly FPVs with fiber optics to overcome Russian electronic warfare and ensure the drones would work even in bad weather conditions. As a result,
It really is amazing what they've been able to do. Again, with the little resources, with the little facilities that they've had. Again, it's amazing that they've been able to step up and control the war so much in this aspect and kind of redefine what modern warfare is at the same time. It is remarkable.
Best drone pilots operating together in one sector, destruction.
There was this that I wanted to check in on too, because I was listening to this early, and I thought that you guys, everybody that's a fan of Ukraine, a supporter of Ukraine in the chat, and I know we have a ton of you guys in there, might kind of find interesting, because this was a live stream that I just popped into. It's from ATP Geopolitics about the Ukraine war live stream with Yuri Rashkin and Jonathan Fink, and they were kind of discussing their aspects on it. And hopefully I stopped it at the correct time, and we don't have to dive too deeply into it. But I just wanted to kind of get their thoughts on what's happening here. Hold on. Let me see if I can throw this on the screen for you guys. Yeah, show this. And again, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with this channel. I just kind of popped into it earlier. See if I can throw that and see what they say.
No one to take notes for him, has a Kremlin translator provided by the FSB. This is to talk to press, nor expertise, nor experience in anything to do with what he's doing. Thrown in to talk to people like Kirill Dmitriev and Putin himself.
So right now he's talking about Steve Witkoff, and he's going to go on to talk about how, he's so incompetent, and how even Donald Trump himself said that he had no prior knowledge to anything going on in this area, but, because of his large bank account, thought he was up to the task. But as we talked about, Steve Witkoff not even bringing his own U.S. translator and having to use a Russian translator, not having to, but, being tricked into using a Russian translator, which we talked about on this show, which is what they're discussing here.
No one to take notes for him, has a Kremlin translator provided by the FSB. This is a rank amateur, and he's the guy that's supposedly deciding the future of the entire nation of Ukraine.
Okay, so when Donald Trump tells you that the entire world is now applauding the United States, and everybody, they're respected on the world stage, this is clearly somebody from outside of the United States giving us his opinion, giving us his fucking what he thinks about this administration, what they're doing in this what they're doing in this war. Steve Witkoff in particular. It doesn't sound like they're applauding and respecting too much of what's going on. It sounds like they're actually laughing and are extremely concerned at the incompetence shown by this administration.
But this is what's happening in the United States now, because we have a list of amateurs running departments.
Yeah.
It's not that he has no context either. Let's remember that
Witkoff, what he said?
Has been immersed.
We have a list of amateurs running departments. And again, somebody I'm assuming here from outside of the United States based on accent name alone. I could be terribly wrong, and I apologize if I am, but I'm just kind of going out on a limb and saying that this is what different representatives of different places in the world kind of think of what's going on. We have, when they look from the outside, they see amateurs at best, representing some of these, incredibly important agencies in our government. And, this is them saying it out loud.
I would say in a sort of Russian ethnic bubble, because he does have a Russian background. I don't believe he speaks Russian, but I think he will have been exposed in this, or he would have festered in this sort of warm bath of Russian narratives through his life. So he's not a blank slate coming in. He is already hardwired to be receptive, I think, to some of the, Kremlin BS.
Yeah. Nothing I disagree with there. He does have a...
So again, just to kind of show you that what Donald Trump says about people respecting us on the world stage once again and calling us the hottest country. I didn't hear anybody on that one say hottest country or call the United States the hottest country, or, how dead the country was just a couple years ago and how hot it is now. I don't hear anybody saying that. It's funny. Donald Trump says he hears it all the time, but nobody else in the world has heard it from anybody else in this regard. But yeah, I just thought you guys would find this fascinating. I saw this too, which kind of goes to prove, it's off topic. I apologize, slightly off topic, but I realized that I forgot to show you guys this. Let me put this on the screen, and we don't have to get into it at all. But this is, from Megyn Kelly, how the issue of Israel is dividing the right. Now, what have I been saying, right? So I should have played this earlier in the show, and I apologize for not putting it in the correct spot. But the 3 points that it goes back to, Israel, Charlie Kirk, Epstein files, just more proof to suggest this. Even Megyn Kelly now calling this out, where she's talking about how Israel is dividing the right, and even names Charlie Kirk in the head of the headline of the video. So you got two things, Charlie Kirk and Israel, two things that I've been talking about is dividing the right. Third thing being the Epstein files talked about in one Megyn Kelly video. So just to kind of, again, pat myself on the back, reaffirm what we've been talking about in the show, and to show you that, it's not a waste of time to you guys to join us day in and day out on this podcast, on this live stream, because we do talk about current affairs, and we are pretty much spot on many things, in talking about current affairs. And it's, pretty much been picked up by other channels as well. Not saying that they watch it, but, we were on the forefront of it, at least, we could say, here on Blunt Politics. But yeah, so Megyn Kelly here, even bringing that aspect up that we've been talking about. But, sorry to dive around on topics, but I just realized that I put that on the screen at the wrong moment. So yeah, let's dive back into this and see if we can get just a kind of a little bit more information as to where this might be heading, and if this is kind of like maybe a losing battle, if they have something planned in the background, or if there's something that we can see possibly continuing and ongoing for some time now.
In a single month, Ukrainian special forces eliminated more than 1,500 Russian troops, destroyed 39 artillery systems, and took out 18 electronic warfare and air defense assets. Their Pokrovsk record also includes 20 tanks, 62 other armored vehicles, and 532.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy. 1,500 people, 39, what is that, vehicles, fuel tanks, drones, motorcycles, tanks. They're taking it all out.
Trucks, cars, and motorbikes, but also ammunition dumps and critical fuel storage points deep in the Russian rear. President Zelensky was so impressed by the results that he returned to the Pokrovsk direction to congratulate the troops personally. During the visit, he awarded...
Risky move, huh? I mean, you got to admit, it's a risky friggin' move for Zelensky to be heading down to that area right now, especially since it's been heavily contended for quite some time. But again, just shows, the fearless leadership that he has, the camaraderie that he has with his military, and again, the respect that the military has for Zelensky. It doesn't seem to be fading in that respect at all over the years, over the battles, even with some hard decisions being made. But it just seems like this is how a leader should act, and it's kind of it's embarrassing to see such leadership on their front while being led in our country by such inept, corrupt, just degenerate assholes who wouldn't know a goddamn thing about this type of leadership, about this type of heroism. You know what I mean? Leading from the front, showing your troops you're not scared. This goes back to, Zelensky saying, no, I don't want to ride out of my country. I want bombs and bullets to fight the enemy with, paraphrasing, of course, but, you get the idea in that.
Soldiers spoke directly with drone operators and emphasized that Russia had achieved no success around Pokrovsk in recent days, despite launching one of the most intense offensive campaigns.
That's very true, Jim. That's very true. Jim says, hold on, let me see if I can put it on the screen. Jim says you can get an early take on news because you don't have a committee writing your scripts. Very true. That is very true, that we can kind of get ahead of it because we don't have anybody in the background. We don't have advertisers to worry about, which is a big thing, Jim, right? We don't have to worry about, okay, as an advertiser that we took money from, are they going to be upset that we talked about this, considering their affiliations with this project or this government or another? Like, that's not something we have to worry about. It is I and me and Mel alone. We discuss and we figure out what we want to talk about, and we talk about it in a way that we deem necessary. So nobody in the background telling us what we can and can't talk about. And I'm very proud of that fact that we've at least managed to make it this far, with those principles on hand of not taking corporate backers, not taking corporate sponsors, not trying to sell you anything, not putting anything behind a paywall. Basically, any of my content that you choose to see, that you want to see, is viewable without having to spend a goddamn cent, without even having to like the channel, without even having to subscribe to the channel. You can see everything that I've ever done. Everything above and beyond that is either a Venmo or a channel membership or signing up at Patreon. In that I am fully upfront and totally transparent about, which there is. It's just basically your contributions, your loyalty, and your friendship to this channel. I don't have a ton to offer because I, again, don't put anything behind a paywall. So there's nothing for you to get like early access to, or stuff that only you can see if you pay $10. Like, I don't buy into all that bullshit. If you've been here since day one, whether you can afford a Snicker bars or not, you're going to be able to see my content, and that's just hopefully the way we can continue this going. And it's only with your kind generosity, with your financial contributions to the channel, that we're able to do that. So I'm very proud of that fact, and thank you guys for allowing me and affording me the ability to do that by contributing either through Venmo, PayPal, whatever it may be. Like I said, patreon.com, or signing up here on YouTube for a membership. It all goes a long, long way in helping us. But I guess just another minute or two out of this, and I'll get you guys out of here. I'll say my thank yous to everybody that was kind enough to contribute or send a super chat or a super sticker, and let you guys get on with your fabulous Thursday afternoon, supporting other fabulous creators, or getting some shit done. You never know. It's probably running errands, knowing what's going on in this country. You guys are probably endlessly trying to run errands to rob Peter to pay Paul, if you're anything like me. So all right, let's dive into just another minute of this.
The front line. He stressed that 1/3 of all frontline clashes in Ukraine occur in Pokrovsk, and half of all Russian glide bombs are launched at the town. In early November, the Russians even attempted 100 assault actions in a single day in this sector, an extraordinary number surpassed only twice throughout all of 2025.
And I think, even recently, Ukraine's kind of shown its determination, because it's even started kind of going after the power stations in and around the Donbass area, which has kind of left that area with substantial power failures and losses, which I think they've, kind of up until this point been reluctant to do, considering it's Ukrainians that would be affected in that area. But this is where the attacks are being launched from. This is where there's being coordinated. So it's just, militarily, strategic to make sure that they attack those places as well. So they're kind of showing their determination, showing their grit in getting to those areas as well. So let me see if there's anything else that we missed on this one. I think it was this as well.
The Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration is now a fortress, defended not only by infantry, but by the most lethal coordinated drone network Ukraine has deployed since the start of the war, leading to the biggest drone massacre.
So that's just it. So a very substantial portion of the defenses, of the drones, of the manpower right now, of what's going on, is happening in this, very small area, that looks to us on a map as a very small area, but has a very substantial impact on, the rest of the war and what's taking place right now on this front. So, I really do appreciate you guys. Another great episode today. I thank you guys for joining me. I thank you for your contributions. I thank you for your loyalty, as always. At the end of the show, like I say, always, I like to, give a shout out, give a highlight to everybody that sent in a super chat, a Venmo, super sticker. I like you guys to be appreciated and noticed, because, it's like we can always talk about on the show, very tough times right now, considering what's happening with the economy. Very tough times, considering, everything's kind of, up in the air, and Donald Trump's you never know where Donald Trump's going to lie on anything, and how long one price is going to be the price until it jacks back up, or you just don't know in today's day and age, where the price of groceries is steadily on the rise, the price of inflation back to above where it should be, jobs really not at the best opportunities. We're seeing homelessness on the rise, layoffs. Just it's really uncertain out there, to say the least. So for anybody that is, in the position to, or even takes the time out to, to say thank you or anything like that, I really do appreciate it. And thank you for your time and your consideration to watch this show. I know there's a ton of other choices that you have out there. So for you to take the time out of your day, which is your most important resource, your most important asset is the time you have to spend it with me, is very, very touching, very important to me. So to people like Claudia, thank you, Claudia, on Venmo. She says, you rock. No, you rock, Claudia. I don't rock. You rock, as I always say. I like to put it back on you guys. That goes for Suzanne as well. Thank you, Suzanne, so much for your contribution. Thank you, Nancy. I really do appreciate you, Nancy. As always, you're amazing. Thank you, Brian. She says, your Oregon grandmother loves you. I needed this Ukraine update. Slava Ukraini. Heroyam slava to you, Nancy. Thank you to everybody that was kind enough to donate yesterday as well. Barry, Allison, Nancy again, Robert, all of you fantastic people are just incredibly important. Just incredibly I don't even know what you say. What's a better word than important? I don't know. You guys tell me. But that's what you guys are to this show. You're so meaningful into making sure that this continues to be a thing that I can't thank you enough. But yeah, thank you to everybody on Venmo. Let's get into thanking people here on the YouTubes. Mark G's had a big fucking week. I got to say, Mark, I don't know why it takes me off the screen. I have no idea why it takes me off the screen. That is just something that's never happened before. I don't know how. Why would that happen? Why would it take me off the screen? Let's see here. Is there a setting on that I don't know about? General display informative message. Shift to comment. I don't see anything different. Nothing's different. That is just the weirdest thing. But Mark, I hope you can still hear me. Can you still hear me? I hope you can. It says that my mic's still going. But Trump brought peace to Gaza like I brought space travel to the raccoons of Florida. Good way to put it. Very good way to put it. I appreciate you, Mark G, for your kind contributions. Thank you for the 5. You've had a big week, brother, and it's been noticed. I really do appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you so much. Saint, now, how come when I go on, I don't understand what's going on. I'm not on for Mark's comment, but I am on for Libby's comment. I don't just go figure on that one. But thank you, Libby. I really do appreciate you for your $10 super sticker. Very much appreciated. Thank you for your kind contribution. Shout out to you. Same thing. Mark, it doesn't like when Mark comments. I don't know. It won't let me on the screen for Mark. All these dorks code speak is like children thinking they are so clever. This is after all fine line between clever and stupid. This is after all a fine line between clever and stupid. Absolutely talking about, Epstein and Bannon and how they kind of thought they were getting around prosecution and nobody would ever find out that they were talking about the things that they were talking about because they used code names and code words and fucking quotation marks. I don't know, but I'm going to laugh really hard. Mark, I really do appreciate you, brother, but I'm going to laugh really hard if it puts me back on screen for Coco. Oh, no, it did. It did. Well, maybe it's just like in every other thing. So, Coco, thank you so much for your instructions on supporting the channel, as you always do. We recognize it. We appreciate it. Shout out to you, Coco. And it's probably going to take me back off the screen for Cat Cookie here, if I'm not mistaken. And it's not just Mark. Yeah, see, it's not just Mark. All right, Mark, you're off the hook, brother. You're off the hook. It wasn't just Mark. But Cat Cookie, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Chris Doug, thank you so much for being a member for 4 months. We really do appreciate your contributions. The Epstein shit show continues is right, and we'll be there right there this entire way throughout whatever happens, whatever the DOJ does, whatever bullshit Pam Bondi decides to come out with, whatever obstructions Mike Johnson and Donald Trump decide to come out with, or whoever in that matter decides to obstruct this. We'll be right there to call it out. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you like this channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. So I appreciate you, Chris Doug. Thank you to Dragons Auras Midas. I appreciate you. Exactly why I love you. I'll help. Thank you so much for your help. I appreciate that. Shout out to you for your kindness. Shout out to you for your contributions as well. That goes for Slacks. What's up, Slack? Slack says, Slava Ukraini. Heroyam Slava. Love to you. Mel Dungaree Dog Logan. Special shout out to Hal and his family. Love you, Hal. My sincere empathy. Absolutely. Once again, I will continue to reiterate in case you missed yesterday's show. Our condolences, our heartfelt and deepest condolences go out to Hal Sparks and his family for the loss of his father. From everybody here at Blunt Politics, from Mel, from me, from the mods and from the chat. Definitely, just to reiterate, our shout out and our sympathies go to our sympathies go towards Hal and his family. And if everybody could hop over to his channels on either Blue Sky or the videos and give him a little shout out, show of appreciation, let him know that we're there for him. That would be fantastic. And I appreciate you, Slack, for bringing it up once again. You're a good man, my brother. And to round it out today, thank you, JD, very much for everything that you do. Thank you for your super sticker. Thank you for filling up that swear jar. As always, I really do appreciate your kindness, your contribution to the channel, and everything that you always do. As that goes for every single one of you as well. The The mods, all of you fantastic people are unbelievable. Tanya, Tiff, fucking all of you guys, Adam, Lokera, fucking everybody. You guys are just unbelievable. Jen, I appreciate you guys. Cosmic Rose, Jim, Veronica, Jupiter, Judy, all of you fantastic people. Just have a wonderful day from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate you. I'm Boston Brian. Until the next Sunday show, which we consider our main show, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and then we'll see you Sunday at 1 p.m. on the East Coast. That is 10 a.m. here on the West Coast. Make sure you're there or be square. Get out, stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Make sure you find your nearest protest, find your nearest rally. I'd like to be hearing more of them happening. I don't know why this lull is taking place. We should have been all over this government shutdown and keeping this momentum going, but let's make sure that we're getting back involved in those as well, and hopefully we'll have some great guests coming up for you not too long in the future in this show as well. So please hit that like button. Let's get us up to 15,000 subscribers so we can so you guys can hear me shut up and at least hear me say 20,000 from now on. That would be great. But it's only with your help, your contributions, and with your kindness that we can get there. So thank you, guys. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. I really appreciate your help. Make sure you have a great day, and make sure you're supporting other fabulous independent creators on this space and in other spaces like you do for me. All right. Thank you, guys. Peace. I'll see you Sunday. Get VIP Zoom tonight. VIP Zoom tonight. We're looking out for that. You're looking out for that link to go out on the Patreon website, all right? Bunny and Brian. Was there a foot cam on? I don't remember turning on the foot cam. Or is that Paul Bunny and Brian? I don't know. But thanks, Dad. I love you. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for everything. Thanks, JD. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chantel. Why do the names keep changing? So weird. Isn't that Coco? Thank you. We love you back. Yeah, WW knows what's up. WW knows what's up. Let's fucking go.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
God bless the United States.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
It's a new form of vicious violation to our country.
They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated?
He wanted to debate. If we didn't have a debate, he'd still be there. Can you imagine if we didn't have a debate? Why the hell did I debate him?
Water coming here is dead.
Obama.
In the hell was that all about?
He says rectum damn near killed him.
Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
We're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will
builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable, I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible. And
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
No words, I have the best words. But there's no better word than stupid.
Referred to my hands, if they're small, something else must be small.
Or go fuck yourself.
Venezuela. Did you just see Maduro? Venezuela. The army manned the air. It ran the ramparts.
It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
Where you going? Nowhere.
What uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things. You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it very well. I've become an expert on guns. When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular. Yesterday's a hard word for me. Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late.
Hashtag where's Bongino? Hashtag why hasn't MAGA kicked out Bannon yet? Alright guys, I'll see you later. I'll see you Sunday. I appreciate you. Everybody, I really do. Thank you so much. It's too bad that we live in
The big, fat, sloppy United States.